Good evening, you're tuning into the State of Business on our television with me, Kavishka Pereira. Let's take a look at today's headlines. Sri Lankan collaborated nano satellite will be released to the orbit soon, says Minister Sujiva Senasinghe. Board of Investments chief assures not a single FDI will be cancelled. News in detail. Addressing a media briefing organized by the Ministry of Science, Technology and Research today, Subject Minister Sujiva Senasinghe shed light on the development of the first nano satellite that will be launched in collaboration with the Japanese and Nepali governments under the Ravana 1 family. Minister further stated that 21 billion rupees are allocated for this venture. It will be released to the orbit around 17th of June.
For the first time, we are launching the satellite, a nano satellite, which is quite a small satellite with the collaboration with the Japanese government and the Nepal government as well. 3 countries are involved in this program, and one student actually won a scholarship who was already a person who was working for the Arthur C. Clarke Institute. And the other student is actually sponsored by the Arthur C. Clarke Institute. We have spent about 21 million for this program. And it's the first time that the country is launching under Ravana 1, a satellite which is going to be in the orbit. It is in the space sent at the moment. It has not been released to the orbit. It will be released to the orbit around the 17th of June. So I'm delighted to actually give this information to the country that we have managed to take control of the orbit also in a small way. It's a nano satellite, but it's a start and it will not be the last.
Informing on the Science and Technology Exposition titled Shilpa Sena that will be held from the July 18th to 21st at BMICH, Minister Senasinghe highlighted the steps taken by his ministry to make these programs people-friendly.
Along with the program that they are launching, Shilpa Sena, on July 18th to 21st at BMICH, it will be a 4-day exposition, Science and Technology, 12 themes, innovations and manufacturing packages and other trade fairs and a book show. Along with all these programs together, we are trying to combine Mahapola, Gamudava, the 2 programs which were very popular during the 80s and 90s. We are trying to have a similar sort of program. So the general public, the private sector can get involved with science and technology. That is the biggest challenge we face. When we say science and technology, people feel a bit aloof. So we are trying to make this actually a people's program and a program for the private sector also, so that all the innovations the private sector can market and they can take this to the world. And so the general public also can get involved in the supply chain.
A system to enhance direct purchasing of fish from the fishermen to the Ceylon Fisheries Corporation was inaugurated last Saturday at the Tangol Fishing Harbour under the patronage of the State Minister of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Development and Rural Economic Affairs, Dilip Vidarachi. This development program was initiated under the theme of fair price for the fish harvest in order to accommodate the requirements of the fishermen and the consumers. At present, the intermediates of the fishing industry gain an exorbitant commission and thereby the fish stocks are not evenly distributed inside the island. Thus, the new system of direct purchasing will be instrumental in tackling these pressing issues in the industry. Moreover, under this system, it is planned to deploy quality control officers on the shore and to increase the interaction between the fishing community and the Ceylon Fisheries Corporation. Speaking at the event, Subject Minister also stated that a recent conference in Anuradhapura on food and nutrition noted that the population in the center of the island are not receiving adequate amount of fish. The minister reiterated that majority of the population who are based in the center of the island are suffering from malnutrition and anemia, and that systems such as direct purchasing would facilitate to curb these issues. The system is also to be launched in all fishing harbours and the ports in the country. Speaking exclusively to our television, Director General of the Petroleum Resources Development Secretariat, Vajra Dasanayaka, said that the already acquired data at the Mana Basin of the West Coast and the Cauvery Basin of the Northern Peninsula of the oil and gas exploration project will be reprocessed with an airborne gravity magnetic survey.
In 2009, there were some seismic lines, 2D seismic lines were shot in the southern basins of ultra-deep-water exploration blocks of JS1 to JS4, and we are hoping to use modern broadband processing techniques, and we want to reprocess that 2009 acquired data set, and by looking at that we want to attract more investment in order to shoot more two-dimensional seismic lines in those blocks. So far we have entrusted Slumberjee and Western Jigger to carry out this function, and we are expecting results by end of August for the processing. We are on the verge of signing an agreement for airborne gravity magnetic survey with Belgiospace, and we have received the cabinet approval for that, and currently we are in the process of negotiating the agreement. And by carrying out the geophysical survey, the gravity magnetic survey, we intend to look at the possibility of having hydrocarbons in the onshore areas, especially in Andigama and Tabbo areas, as well as in the Jaffna Peninsula. And also we intend to do a gravity magnetic survey in the shallow water blocks in the Kaveri Basin.
Stay tuned for more news after this short commercial break. Welcome back. Addressing a media briefing last Friday, Central Bank Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy emphasized that the government is reviewing the budgetary allocations for the year and reprioritizing on the compensations and facilitating the affected sectors by the Easter Sunday attacks.
Again, the cautionary factor is developments on the government's budgetary operations. Clearly, there will be pressure to increase expenditure for compensation payments, for support to the affected sectors. At the same time, on the revenue front, VAT, corporate and income taxes, customs duty, all those are likely to be affected. So the government is reviewing its whole budget. It plans to reprioritize and to accommodate both the increases in expenditure and the reductions in revenue as much as possible within the broad framework that it set out in the Appropriation Act.
Commenting further on the impact of the Easter Sunday attacks on the financial report, Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy pointed out that the consequences of the international financial markets are very much contained. Speaking further, the central bank governor also said despite the fact that they didn't see an increase in the international sovereign bonds last month, the markets are still positively open when compared with the transactions in the month of March.
As you would have heard already, I suspect, the impact on financial markets has been very contained. We've had 6 treasury bill auctions. On each occasion, the yields came down, and over the 6 auctions, the one-year treasury bill has come down by a little over 100 basis points, 102, 103 basis points. We had the largest bond auction ever, 120 billion rupees, and that was, I think, about 3 weeks ago. And there again, the yields came down. Our international sovereign bonds issued in March, the yields came down significantly before the 18th of April. Since then, they have gone up, but they're still at or slightly below the yield at which they were issued in March. So there hasn't been any increase in the yields on the sovereign bonds issued in March, which indicates to us that the markets are still open to us.
Fleshing out several predictions following the national tragedy, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy asserted that the anticipated 1.9 billion loss in tourism, foreign institutional investments and foreign direct investments is not severely critical and that Sri Lanka had recovered much worse losses.
But this year's number, let's say there is a 700 million hit. So 900 million tourism, 300 million foreign institutional investment, and say 700 million of foreign direct investment. You add all that up, it comes to 1.9 billion. And as I said, we projected reserves at 8.2 billion. You take 1.9 billion off, you end up with about US dollars 6.3 billion as reserves that could be there at the end of the year under this worst case scenario. Now, that is not a wonderful level of reserves, but it's certainly not a crisis level either. It is a level of reserves we have managed with. We've had lower reserves than that and managed before. So that's, in my view, a source of reassurance.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Board of Investments Mangala Yapa says that the BOI is strong enough to build the confidence of the investments despite the unexpected terror attacks that took place in April. Chairman of the Board of Investments Mangala Yapa says that Sri Lanka is expecting foreign direct investments to be delayed, but there are no cancellations yet. BOI chairman, speaking to a team journalists in Colombo today, admitted the highlighted fact by the central bank governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy over a change of scheduled FDIs due to the Easter Sunday explosions as well as political changes in the country in October. However, he assured that there won't be dramatic reductions as the investors are also diligently looking at how things are moving in Sri Lanka. He also pointed out that some investments are to realize in the future. The BOI chairman further added that operations at BOI registered companies are continuing normally since the bombings, except for the 3 hotels which were attacked. He also said they have already spoken to the existing investors in the country, building their confidence as they are the brand ambassadors of Sri Lanka. He assured that they will bring the message to their principals and their suppliers. Stay tuned for stock updates after this short commercial break. Welcome back. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all-share price index dropped 11.45 points to close at 5,299.50, and the S&P SL 20 dropped 10.96 points to close at 2,458.86. The turnover was 188.6 million rupees, with 58 stocks falling and 52 gaining. Index heavy John Keel's holdings closed 1.30 rupees lower at 136 rupees a share, contributing to the ASPI fall. Next up is Forex rates. Well, that's a wrap of the bulletin for the day. Signing off with a promise for tomorrow at the same time with nothing but the latest. Thank you and good night.